I am on here, so if y'all are coming in and y'all don't hear anything, that's because I am pulling up these documents. It's about to be when I gotta eat. Okay, so I wanted to hop instead of doing a video. I was like, well, let me just go live and present this. So, man, hold on, because there's several things I need to go through. So we all know that Diddy has his motion for bail hearing today. Wrong browser. Hold on. I have to have separate browsers for each thing I do. So let me see what time it is. I know. So I'm trying to see exactly what time his hearing is for trial, because I'm paying attention to the docket. I know that it's not going to be updated with any information while they're doing something unless the court clerk does that, but I don't see that happening. Usually once the hearing convenes, it will either be later on that night or possibly the next day when they post everything. But hold on, let me get the docket 60. When did they say that this is going to be? That's the motion. 11:22 at 2 p.m. Okay, 2 p.m. So that is 1 p.m. Oh, I'm in Texas, so that's 1 p.m. my time. So it is 2 p.m. So as of right now, there have been 2 new filings today on Diddy's case. And the first one, as I spoke, don't start, Leslie. This puppy, I promise you, this puppy. Leslie, stop. Yeah, if y'all hear growling in the background, it's her. Um, okay. So remember when I started speaking in regards to them referencing Jeffries. And so that is what we see on the screen. So this is a letter that Diddy's defense count. Oh no, not the Diddy's. What am I trying to say? The government filed before the hearing at 2 p.m. So it says the government respectfully submits this letter in advance of the hearing scheduled for November 22nd, 2024, in connection with the defendant's renewed motion for bail and in response to the court's inquiry about the relevance of the bail package ordered with the government's consent as to defendant Michael Jeffries in the United States versus Jeffries case. For the reasons stated below, the circumstances in Jeffries are in a posit and provide no support for the defendant's bail application in the instant manner. I said that because all they did was they didn't break down how the case, at least break down how the cases are similar and saying, okay, Jeffries did the same thing Diddy did, or Diddy did the same thing Jeffries did. You know what I'm saying? They didn't do anything. They just actually listed that case, but they didn't break it down. And so that's why I said, well, maybe they'll do the argument in court, but who knows? All right, then it further reads, on October 17, 2024, a grand jury sitting in the Eastern District of New York returned an indictment charging 3 defendants, including Michael Jeffries, with 1 count of sex trafficking in violation of 18 of the United States Code, Section 1591, and 15 counts of interstate prostitution in violation to Title 18 of the United States Code, Section 2422A. As alleged, from approximately 2008 to 2015, Jeffries and his co-defendants operated an international sex trafficking and prostitution business. Jeffries alleged paid for dozens of men to travel within the United States and internationally to meet Jeffries and his co-defendants to engage in commercial sex acts. In addition, Jeffries and his co-defendants relied on a security company to surveil and intimidate witnesses to threaten to expose their misconduct. Following their arrest, the government consented to Jeffries released on strict bail conditions, including a secured $10 million bond and home detention with electronic monitoring. It goes on to say the defense argues in its renewed bail motion that Combs is similarly situated to Jeffries and should be released. That's all they say, is that Combs' situation is similar to Jeffries' situation, therefore he should be released. They didn't break down anything. And I'm sure that the judge was looking for a little bit more detail than what they actually provided in their reply to support the motion for bail. But it then says, but beyond superficial similarities, the high-profile positions of the defendants in SEX trafficking charges, the cases are materially different as to multiple factors the court must consider under the Bail Reform Act. First, the nature of circumstances of the offenses are substantially different, in which they are. While the Jeffries case alleges the use of force, fraud, coercion, and engagement in non-consensual SEX, there are no allegations that Jeffries committed non-trafficking related violent acts or that he used firearms during the charged period. The indictment against Combs alleges both. With respect to the charged offenses, Jeffries does not include a racketeering offense. By contrast, Combs is charged with leading a racketeering enterprise that engaged in the persistent pattern of racketeering activity from 2008 through 2024 that included repeated acts of violence by Combs and his co-conspirators, including multiple acts involving kidnapping, arson, and forced labor. Further, as detailed in the indictment, Combs protected and promoted his role in the enterprise through violence, use of firearms, threats, coercion, and verbal, emotional, physical, and SA. As recently as March 2024, firearms and ammunition, including 3 AR-15s with the face serial numbers, were recovered from Combs' residences. Second, the defendant's criminal conduct, including acts of obstruction, has persisted through the present. While Jeffries alleged also engaged in efforts to conceal criminal activity, including those to use of surveillance and threats of litigation to ensure victims' silence, that alleged conduct ended in 2015. Here, however, the conduct charged against Combs extends through 2024. And ever since being charged, Combs has continued to obstructive conduct, including by repeatedly flaunting the orders of this court and the rules and regulations of BOP. For all the reasons cited in the government's opposition, it strains credulity to believe that Combs will stop engaging in criminal conduct and abide by conditions of release. The third part of this is that the history and characteristics of the two defendants are significantly different. And I've stated this in the last few videos that I've done. They are totally different. Jeffries is 80 years old with no criminal history. Combs is a decade younger. Further, he has been arrested and investigated multiple times for crimes of violence and obstruction, and as described above, has repeatedly violated BOP regulations and the very same gag order he demanded that his court enter. In sum, Jeffries is materially different from the instant matter. For the reasons stated above and in the government's motions, the defendant's renewed motion for bail should be denied. I have been saying this. I don't see any similarities. I take that back. I do see some similarities, but with Combs, it is a lot more added on. They talked about the racketeering. They talked about the weapons. So it's a little bit more, heavier on Sean Combs' side than it is Jeffrey's side. So just by the defense counsel, and I knew that they were going to use this because that's what people are saying. Well, why is Jeffries out on bail? and at $10 million, and Combs is still in prison. Y'all have to look at the facts beforehand, what has been alleged, what has came out. And that's what the government stance is on this. Diddy, in a nutshell, Diddy has done some things, including racketeering, weapons, threatening people, the whole 9 yards. Okay. By the defense referencing Jeffries did them no justice. Now, here's the defense reply. We submit this letter in further support of Mr. Combs' renewed motion for bond with the accompanying exhibit, which is a letter the government sent to us at 11:32 p.m. yesterday evening. This letter was sent to us in response to targeted Brady requests. The pro-offer cited in the government's letter further supports Mr. Combs' position as to the weight of the evidence and the nature of seriousness of the offense. Hold on, let me see. LaDon said, hey, baby, I agree your past has a lot to do with bail. Yes, and it does. It does. So they take that into consideration. They have to realize what it said. Jeffrey had no past. Now, if he done anything in the past, nobody has ever came forth to bring up charges. Therefore, you still can't compare, Jeffries to Combs. Combs had a past. So furthermore, in this letter that the defense submitted right after, no, we're talking about Diddy. As just one example, in attempt to rebuke the defense pro-offer during the initial bail hearing, the government argued, hold on, let me turn my whatchamacallit down. Okay. As just one example, in attempting to rebuke the defense pro-offer during the initial bail hearing, the government argued the following. All right. So this is what the defense counsel is saying that the government argued. Yesterday, the defense said they interviewed about a half a dozen escorts who would dispute the government's account of what happened during the freak-offs. Our investigation is ongoing, and so I can't say too much about this, but I will note that half a dozen escorts is just the tip of the iceberg, and the number of escorts who have participated in freak-offs. Okay. And then it says, as the government's Brady disclosure makes clear, however, then they redacted that information. Then it says, additionally, this letter provides this is killing me that the defense keeps saying what new information? I don't see no new information. I didn't see any new information from the second bill package. What new information are y'all providing? So it says, additionally, this letter provides even more new information that warrants reopening the bail proceedings. Defense counsel will address these points at the bail hearing today. Oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. Although we do not believe there is any basis to seal the government's letter, we have not had an opportunity to confer with the government on the issue and are filing it under seal in the first instance in abundance of caution. So that is the scoop. That is the newest filings in Diddy's case. So just trying to figure out how they are going to deal with this issue. Like the defense counsel keeps saying there's new evidence, there's new material, new information. He can't reasonably prepare for his defense while incarcerated and all this other stuff. But yet nothing that they're pointing out is new. Nothing at all. They're not pointing out anything new. So I really feel that the judge is going to look at what the government is putting out, because he strictly told you guys at the emergency meeting that y'all had to file your replies and cite your best cases. The only thing, the defense, they had a whole, the table of contents that shows, United States versus the defendant. They cited a whole bunch of stuff, but didn't elaborate on anything. You just referenced a recent case with Jeffries, but didn't even compare or contrast between either of them. And so now the government says, okay, they reference Jeffries, but there's no similarities. Or if there are, it's like 1%. So I'm very interested. Like every time, because me reading the defense stuff when they submit, I'll be like, man, they got the government. Then the government comes back and they hit them with a reply and be like, oh, okay. So I'm interested as how this is going to play out. Once again, they can't have any cameras or anything of that nature in the federal courtroom. So that's why you'll see on the internet like sketch drawings of like the people, still images of people in the courtroom, but that's all. So we just got to wait for the people to come outside and say, hey, this is what happens in the courtroom today. It's crazy, but it's going to be a lot of anticipation, because that last hearing was what, 3? I can't remember. I think it was at 3, and they got out when it was dark outside. So I can only imagine that this hearing is going to go on for a while, because they have a lot to discuss. The government is really going to have to discuss and argue that, it is best in the best interest of the public and for the people for Diddy to remain incarcerated. And the defense counsel is going to have to put their best foot forward and convince the judge that no, he is not being, he doesn't have reasonable access to actually go over his case and prepare for trial while he is in MDC. So I'm very interested as to what the outcome is and how the judge, because I don't see that judge playing with either party, either counsel. I really don't. So y'all just, keep them notifications on. I'm going to be monitoring Diddy. I know it's Friday. I got work, kids, and all stuff to do. But I'm going to be monitoring this. And as soon as I get an update, I'm going to update you guys. All right. So tell me what y'all think is going to happen in the comments below. Definitely. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Until then, be blessed, y'all. I'm out. And